All right. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Corinne Lorenzini. I am your final host of the session portion of today. So congratulations for getting through our first virtual conference. We really thank you for being attendees and really appreciate our participation that we've had throughout the day and our presenters. It's my job as a host to help you with any technology issues you have, or still any of the questions you have remaining of the conference that we have still today and this evening. But the best part of today has been to be able to introduce our presenters. And please don't tell my other previous presenters, but this one probably is secretly one of my favorites. I've been able and had the privilege to work with her and her team, and I'm just so excited for her. Please, this is Candace M. Dawson-Taylor you'll be hearing from. She's currently the director of the Goodwill Excel Center Mid-South in Memphis, Tennessee, and has served in this role for 4.5 years. Prior to her appointment as director, she served as a lead teacher, college transition counselor, and building testing coordinator. Mrs. Dawson-Taylor has a wide range of experience working in high priority schools in the city of Memphis. In this capacity, she's been able to serve as a behavior interventionist specialist, wraparound connector, and a student support service site coordinator. Experience in these roles have prepared Ms. Candace to successfully support students and their families in overcoming various academic, social, emotional, and financial barriers that pose risk to students' educational success, and furthermore, effectively engage them in educational and/or career endeavors going forward. Candace is a graduate of Craigmont High School, Memphis, Tennessee. She continued her education by receiving a Bachelor's of Science in Psychology education minor in the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga, and a Master's in the Business Administration and Healthcare Management degree with honors from Strayer University. She is active in the community with Girls Dance and was a member of the Boys and Girls Club mentoring program. She continues to mentor high school students at MLK Junior College Preparatory High School, as well as the Excel Center. Please help me welcome Ms. Candace.
Hello, everyone. Hello. I am so nervous. I will start by saying that because this is the first time I've had to present virtually. And so I'm going to try my best to keep you all engaged as much as possible by us not being face-to-face. And I know it's the end of the day. We've had lunch and everything, but I guarantee you will enjoy this session. So today we're going to talk about understanding and motivating students to learn. So take a few minutes and I just want you to think, out of all the students that we serve in the network, do you know a student who seeks attention or who is susceptible to peer pressure, seeks power to control others or is defiant, seeks revenge or hurts others, gives up easily or avoids tasks? This may not even be a student. We all have our own personal children. We may see some of these things in them. So according to Dr. Amy Liu and Betty Breather of the Family Institute of Cambridge, there are 4 methods that those interacting with students should utilize in order to promote student motivation. And so student motivations, you have your 4 C's: connection, capability, counting, and courage. So, and that's what we're going to focus on today. So with connection, that's having the sense of belonging. And with our students, they want to belong. Capability is having the ability to take care of oneself. Counting, not your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 counting, but our students want to have the knowledge that they can make a difference in society. And courage, believing one can handle what comes. So that's what we'll be breaking down in this session today. So we're about to go into a breakout session. You'll have 5 minutes, but before you go into the breakout section, I want you to just think about, personally, what are you currently doing to help students feel connected, capable, and as though they count and that they're courageous? So when you go into your breakout sessions, it'll be about 8 to 10 of you all in each group. Have one person to just write down, you all talk amongst your peers, but what each one of you are doing in your buildings or just in your particular roles that address these 4 things. And when we come back, you'll need one person from each group to present. Okay, so I'm ready for the breakout.
Hi, Kelly. We are currently in breakout rooms. So you can click join.
Oh, which one?
You'll have a notice at the bottom that says to click a join breakout room, or you can wait until we do the next one. It's up to you.
Gotcha.
And Kelly from Meadows, I'll probably not put you in a breakout room at this point because they're just under 2 minutes of coming back to the general session or the general piece here.
Thank you. I'm sorry, I was chewing a carrot.
No problem. Candace, just remember to reshare your screen when you're ready to get back to your PowerPoint.
We're all back. Oh. Okay, we're all back. So next, what we're going to do is hopefully we're able to do this virtually, but I want from each person, from one person from each group, if you could hold up, we're going to do, this is called the share one, take two method. And so if you could hold up to the screen, so I'll be the example, you might can't see this, but on my paper, I have respect, listen, engage in their activities, keep lots of snacks, and open door policy. So if each one of you all could just hold up to your screen what some of you all's responses were, and we'll take like 60 seconds. If you just look at each screen to see if there's something that you don't do in your building, and take two. So you're gonna give at least one and then take two examples that you would like to start doing in your building to help students feel connected, capable, and as though they count and courageous. Let's see, is anybody holding anything up? Okay, I see Brad is holding some stuff up. Shandy Summers.
How do we see everyone?
At the top of your screen, it should be like a tic-tac-toe box. You can click on that tic-tac-toe box and it'll kind of show everybody on your page. So introduce new students to existing students. We have Spirit Week, Culture Day. They do funny things, talk about things. It's a family atmosphere. Okay. So we're gonna keep going. So students need to be connected. So their survival depends on an ability to bond. And being that our students come from different backgrounds and they have different barriers, they need to bond and connect with not just their teachers in their classrooms, but everyone that they interact with in the Excel Center. So from the first person that they meet, whether it's your security officer in your building, to your office manager, to the drop-in center, even to your building engineers, the students want to feel as if they're bonding and that they're connected. And through the development, we must move from total dependency to interdependency. And so if you notice when our students come in, depending on how long they're in the program, sometimes they need a lot of dependency when we start working with them. They're gonna need a lot of one-on-one assistance, but typically by the time they get to their senior level classes, they've started moving to interdependency. And that's how we know that we're doing our jobs correctly working at the Excel Center, is because you should see this transition as they transition and grow through the program. And so students who don't connect in a constructive way, they feel insecure, isolated, they seek attention, and are more susceptible to peer pressure. So students who feel connected, again, like I said, they feel secure. They'll reach out. They'll reach out to their life coach. They'll reach out to their teachers. They'll reach out to other entities in the building that they have relationships with. They have better social skills. They'll reach out to their own peers. So if they notice that one of their peers is slacking off, their attendance may not be good, or maybe academically they're struggling, they'll reach out to their own peers, and they'll have the social skills to do that appropriately. And they'll be cooperative. So they'll cooperate in class. They won't be argumentative. They won't be disruptive. A national longitudinal study was done back in 2015, and it says that children who feel isolated, hold on. So it says children in trouble feel isolated, useless to society, and powerless. They do not have an internal certainty about themselves that they can serve as a guide for behaviors. So this is why it's important that those things that we listed on those papers about connection, this is important, why we have to make sure we implement that in our building. So the need to develop competence and feel capable. Our students, they're just surviving. They're getting by day after day after day. They're not equipped with some of the things that we're equipped with, as most of us working in the Excel Center have upper level educations. Some of us have come from more stable backgrounds because we worked in the school system. We know how it feels to have to be structured, have to be organized. We understand time management. A lot of our students, they don't understand it. They're just getting by day to day to day. And so part of our job is helping them learn how to get by. So students who don't feel capable, you know, they do seek power and they're defiant and they want to be controlled. So typically with our new students, we run into having a power struggle and getting them to understand that we're here to help them and there's no need to have a power struggle. Feeling capable. In order for students to feel capable, they need to feel confident. They need to feel like they have self-control and self-discipline. They have to assume responsibility and they have to feel self-reliant. So just take a moment or so and just think as we go through the sides in your own personal lives. What are some of your own personal strengths? And what in life made those strengths your strengths? For instance, some of us may lift weights, and so we practice healthy lifestyle. That's a strength that not all of us possess. And because we were able to put measures in place, that helped us to obtain a goal of being able to practice a healthy lifestyle. So everything that we do, all of our strengths comes from something within us that caused us to make that as a strength. We identified this as an area where we needed to grow and improve. So the need for significance, the belief that one counts. Students want to feel as if they make a difference. Again, we're not talking about 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. They want to feel as if their existence matters, that they're not just taking up air and space in your classroom. People who don't believe they count through constructive means try to prove they count through negative means. So that's how sometimes you have students that react negatively because, for instance, they may have always heard, well, you can't read, or you're dumb, or you're just another statistic, or you're just another dropout. So if they come into your classroom and they feel as if they're just another dropout, or that they're dumb, or they're not smart, or they can't read, those are going to be the ones that act out typically in your classroom. So regardless of what level they come to you on, we as educators have to meet them where they are and let them know that whatever level that they're at, it's wonderful. They're doing something great and that it counts and that we notice it and that we're just here to help them grow continuously. Students who believe they count, they feel valuable. They believe they can make a difference. They don't just think it, but they believe it. They believe they can contribute. They say things to themselves like, I believe that I matter and that I can make a difference. You'll start hearing a change in their vocabulary. You'll start hearing a change in their processing about things that they're going to do next, either while they're still in school or even after school, compared to when they first started a program. So take some time now and just think, how can our students contribute back? A lot of times as staff members at the Excel Center, we try to do everything ourselves. but it's very important that we engage with our students, give them some responsibility to give back to their school so that they can be invested and see that they count. Help them. How can they contribute? Teachers, how can they contribute to the class? Life coaches, how can they contribute to you as a life coach? You know, whether it's making them more accountable or in your teacher's classroom, whether it's giving them a task that they can do daily, such as, you know, passing out papers or helping, you know, possibly with a lecture. They want to know that they can count, that they count. Why is it important for our students to be courageous? To take risks requires courage. Students without courage focus on what they can't do, and they often give up and they avoid. So this is how we have students a lot of times that they come to our program, they enroll, they start, they drop out, and then they come back. So we want to avoid this from happening as much as possible. The best thing that we can always start by doing is letting them know going back to high school as an adult takes courage. I know when I went to get my master's degree, I was a parent. I was still a lot younger, but it was still new to me, and I was very nervous, even though I had already been to college before. So just think of what our students feel like of going back to high school, especially if we have students, you know, they've been out of school 20, 30 plus years. This is a new thing for them. Students who have courage, they say things like, I believe that I can handle what comes. If they're courageous, they overcome fear, they feel confident, and they feel hopeful and handle challenges and are resilient. And so I'm going to share with you a poem. Oops. So this is a poem by Langston Hughes, and I'm just going to read it to you all. It says, it's called Life is Fine. Think about our students. This is in the tone of our students. I went down to the river. I sat down on the bank. I tried to think, but I couldn't. So I jumped in and sank. I came up once and hollered. I came up twice and cried. If that water hadn't been so cold, I might would have sunk and died. But it was cold in that water. It was cold. I took the elevator 16 floors above the ground. I thought about my baby and I thought I would jump down. I stood there and I hollered. I stood there and I cried. If it hadn't have been so high, I might would have jumped and died. But it was high up there. It was high. So since I'm still here living, I guess I will live on. I could have died for love, but for living, I was born. Though you may hear me holler and you may see me cry, I'll be dog sweet baby if you're gonna see me die. Life is fine, fine as wine. Life is fine. So I want to just take another, we'll do 4 minutes because of time. We'll break back out in your sessions, but I want you to talk about in your sessions, how is courage demonstrated in this poem and what in this poem represents our students? I could just get 2 people, specifically, I'm gonna call one person out because he started right before we came from the breakout session. I loved where he was going. Mr. Anthony, if you could finish sharing with us what you were saying in your group.
Is that me?
Yeah.
I was just saying that what I took mostly from the poem was all about resiliency. So no matter what happens, just don't give up, keep trying.
Okay. Anybody else want to share out what they got from the poem? Okay. So I'll keep going.
I can share.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think this poem is very much the same with the theme, very much the same with his other poem, Dreams Are Far. Because I could relate it to my life very well. I come from a third world countries. It took me 20 years to come back to school. So whenever teachers assign this kind of poem, students feel encouraged and connected. Especially, it's very much relevant to adult high school.
Thank you. So we're going to speed along. So these are some essential skills for our students' academic success. So I've highlighted some of the words that students need to be able to communicate in order to connect. They need self-discipline in order to be capable. They need to believe they count in order to assume responsibility. And they need to be able to make good judgment in order to be courageous and feel safe. So when our students' needs are met, we see that they succeed. They gain courage for future tasks. When students experience only failure, they lose some of their courage and become timid of future tasks. So like we stated, students who feel not connected, they act out needing attention. Students that aren't capable, they act out by seeking power. Students that feel like they don't count, they act out by seeking revenge. And students who have no courage, they act out by seeking avoidance. So it's part of the most important part of this presentation is the encourage versus praise. And a lot of times people don't realize that they're 2 different things. So you don't ever want to retaliate, escalate, or humiliate a student. So encouragement is instilling courage by helping students see their strengths and developing a belief in themselves. Praise is pointing out what we think he or she does well. So some examples. Praise is normally short and to the point. Things like, fantastic, Johnny. Excellent job, Sarah. Keep up the great work, Keisha. Those are forms of praise. But encouragement is more defined. If I was to say, Corinne, I really noticed that last week you struggled with those integers. But when you took your assessment on Thursday, you nailed it. It's more personable. So you want to make sure, as working in the education field, that you give a good balance of encouragement and praise, because students need both. They don't always just want to hear the short to the point. They want to hear the more defined and in-depth areas, because again, that goes back to your 4 areas of them feeling that they count and that they're connected, because you've identified something specifically that they did from their peers or their classmates.
Candace, can you go back to the PowerPoint for us? We are still seeing the poem.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Oops. Okay, hold on.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. So y'all see the encourage versus praise? Okay. So again, praise is normally short and to the point, and encouragement is more defined. So some things you can do to help them feel connected. Provide opportunities for cooperative interactions. showing interest in each student. Don't just find one or two in your classroom that are always doing good, or those on your caseload that are never causing trouble, and you focus on those. Showing interest in each student. Give positive attention. Find and recognize their strengths and talents. Show acceptance. Separate the deed from the door. Think beyond ordinary. Like we're going through the pandemic. What can you do differently to think beyond what you would do if you saw your students on a day-to-day interaction? What can we do now going into term 1 to think beyond, to show our students that we're still there for them, even though we're going through this pandemic and things may be virtually, or our classes may be held differently. Conduct class meetings. This is important for teachers and life coaches. Ask students midterm how they're feeling. What more can I do as your life coach or as your teacher to help them improve for the remainder of the term? In order to help students feel capable, create learning experiences from mistakes. Build confidence. Going back to creating learning experiences from mistakes. So as a teacher, sometimes we deal with things where you may have a large percentage of your class that doesn't do so well on an assessment. The last thing you want to do is make the class feel as if it's their fault or they didn't put in enough effort. So create learning experiences from those mistakes. It could have been it could have been how the lesson was taught, or it could have been that they interpreted the information differently than what you wanted them to interpret it. Ask students that struggled with the lesson for feedback that would help them better understand. What techniques did they like the best? Ask your students that. What techniques do they like the least? So you may have some strategies that work great for block 1 that don't work great for block 2. Or they may work great for you in a traditional school setting, but don't work great in an adult setting. In order to help students feel that they count, you want to have peer tutoring. Allow them to help with planning school events and in community engagement. Help them through recognizing them and through participation, again, in classroom meetings. In order to help our students feel courageous, this is one thing we have to do as professionals. If you were to leave out of your classroom or to leave out of your office or your cubicle, whatever your perspective place is, what would your students say about you when you left your classroom? How would they describe you? What words would they use regarding you? What images do you think are important that should be projected as you as a professional? What impression would you want to leave on them? So these are things when wanting students to feel courageous, these are things you should think about yourself. And if you feel when you ask yourself these questions that it may be a negative response, that's where we need to do some soul searching within and make some changes, because we don't want our students to feel that way about us. In order for them to feel courageous, don't expect perfection from them. None of us are perfect, not even the professional. And when we make a mistake as a professional, take ownership of that and let them know you made a mistake. Practice balance. Don't make comparisons. Don't compare block 1 and block 2, or don't compare 2 individuals in the same class, because we're all different. Ask them questions. Question yourself. Avoid criticism and allow students to experience natural consequences. What will you do going forward to understand and motivate your students? Thinking now after we've gone through this, what will you do to make your students feel connected? What will you do now to make your students feel capable? What will you do now to make your students feel as though they count? And what will you do now in order to make your students continue feeling courageous? Most importantly, I want you all to remember, make sure that your students are respected and to avoid humiliation, because it's that one humiliating time that we can do to a student that will cause them to drop out on a dream that they wanted to seek for so long, because it came from someone that they respected so much, which is us as a professional. So I have my references here. My references is from the Parent's Guide to Understanding and Motivating Children by Betty Lou Bittner and Amy Lou, and then Motivating the Unmotivated Student Meaning Training Series through the College Board Inspiring Mind, Inc. So I'm gonna take some questions or comments. We have about 5 minutes, 10 minutes left. Oh, I zoomed through it. I made it. So we have any questions or comments in the comment box?
There's a quote here that says, I remember a quote that said, rules without relationships lead to rebellion.
I like that. That's from Janae Daniels. I like that, Janae. Any other questions, comments, feedback? Have any of you all thought about what you could do differently going into this year that you don't want to repeat, or to make things better for your students?
I would say one of the things I would want to do more this year is connect more with all my students, because I am guilty of, I see you twice, three, maybe once or twice during a term, but trying to build more of those connections with all my students, even some that might not understand me because English is second language, but we're gonna figure it out. So my biggest thing this year is have that more connection. What is something you like to do, where you see yourself 10 years from now? And I get majority of them in senior seminar. I teach senior seminar as well. But again, I just want to start that connection a little bit earlier when they start at the Excel Center.
Great. Anyone else?
Candace, I have a question. What suggestions are you providing to your entire team, but specifically your coaching team, on how to handle their entire caseload now? Majority, if not all of them, are going through a barrier due to COVID. So we had some students that probably didn't experience a barrier before COVID, and now all of a sudden it's the entire one. How are you suggesting, or what strategies are you providing them to balance those connections and relationships?
So one thing our life coach team is doing here in Memphis now, even though we've been out for a little while, we've still been holding weekly Zoom life skills classes with all of our students. And so at the end of each session, the life coaches ask them, like, what are some specific barriers that they're facing? And so they know what to present on for the upcoming week. So they get the students' input and buy-in. And then they also ask for, the life coaches also bring resources each week, whether it's what food pantries are going to be open, what community resources are going to be open for that coming week. And they ask the students to bring resources as well. And so the students really enjoy that because it makes them feel like they're bringing a resource to the life coach that the life coach may wasn't aware about, and that they're also helping their peers. Great question, Kareem. Any other questions? Okay. Well, that is all that I have. We finished a few minutes early. I was very nervous that I had too many slides, so I was trying to go as fast as possible. So I guess I went too fast. But I hope that you learned something from this session and you enjoyed it and got some great, excellent takeaways that you can take back with you as you start your school year. I know it's going to be very different for all of us, and we just have to really utilize this time to do what's best and think outside the box for all of our students and for just the school as a whole, whether it's even your peers, your own coworkers. We have to really be working together to make sure this school year is successful. So I look forward to interacting with you all as we go into the next school year, and thank you for attending my session.
Thanks, Candace. Just as a reminder, everyone, the closing remarks will be at 4:10. Thank you, Candace, for keeping your energy up for us as we go into our closing remarks.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Bye, everybody.
Hey, will this slide be available?
Yeah.
For the access to it?
Yeah, Clinton, did you download the app by chance?
Yes, it's now just asking for email password.
Yeah, the email will be what you used to register for the conference.